Well, guys, welcome in. Thank you so much for joining us. I assume that you are here because you want to learn more about camp, whether you and your kid are ready and it's a right fit. And we're so excited that you found this resource. I want to introduce myself real quick, and then I've got a great friend here with me that would love for her to do a little introduction. But my name is Andrew, and I'm one of our vice presidents of camping here at Pine Cove. Been with Pine Cove for about 15 years and spent most of that time working at our youngest elementary camp in Tyler called the Towers. And so have a lot of experience with second through fifth graders. And typically, those are the parents that have the most questions, most concerns, most reservations, want the most amount of information about camp. And I think rightly so. So we're so excited that you're here to join us today in this conversation. And I'm so excited to get to sit down with you. So Chantel, I would love for you to introduce yourself a little bit. Tell us kind of your connection with Pine Cove, your background, professionally, personally, kind of how those worlds overlap.
Sure. I am Chantel Longino, and I am a licensed clinical social worker, which means I have a bachelor's and a master's in social work, and my concentration was children and families. On top of that, I have a registered play therapy credential, and that means that I have hundreds of hours of special training in how to optimize child development through the lens of play, which we do a lot of that at camp. I'm excited to dig into that, how those two worlds intersect. It is just such an honor to get to combine that with my love of camp ministry. Camp is where I found the Lord as a small child.
Cool.
And it is just such a gift to be able to combine those worlds. I'm also a Pine Cove mom, as you know. I have had kids at 3 of the 4 overnight camps here in East Texas, and have also had kids at Camp in the City. So I love Pine Cove deeply. I just love parents. My work primarily as a counselor is with children and their parents. And that dynamic is something that I'm really excited to dig into today.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you're coming to us really with this incredible, unique perspective of getting to work with kids and families on a day-to-day basis in kind of a therapy standpoint, but then also as a mom, somebody who has experienced camp as a parent. And so you have kind of this blend of worlds that fits in perfectly to, I'm sure, a lot of curious parents who are going, hey, I need to be sold on this a little bit more. You're the person that should be talking to them. And so we're so glad you're here. Thank you so much for joining us and partnering with Pine Cove to help answer some of these questions. So quick little preview of the road that we're going down today. We want to talk about camp through the lens of really trying to answer the question, what does a kid get out of camp? And how do we know as parents if kids are ready for camp? And this is important stuff for both of us because obviously we do this professionally. I work full-time at camp. You work full-time with kids and families, but then also it's a really personal matter for us because we're both parents, as you said, parents of campers as well at Pine Cove and other camps. And so we're really excited to have you here today. So I want to jump right in and get into kind of the developmental piece of camp. When you think about the development of a kid coming to camp, they're put in so many different situations that are uncommon to them, not their typical day-to-day. What are some of the benefits that you see is good for a kid to be submersed into an environment and atmosphere like that?
That's a great place to start. I think one of the things that we are seeing most in kids of that early elementary age, one of the biggest emotional struggles that we are finding in the last few years is a huge increase in anxiety. And one of my favorite resources, Sissy Goff, defines anxiety as overestimation of the problem and underestimation of themselves. And I think the kids that are coming to camp with us at Pine Cove, they gain so much confidence from trying new things. I know before my kids went to camp, they had never been on a blob. They have never been on a ropes course. They have never jumped from a platform quite as high into a pool.
Yeah.
And they have gained so much confidence from trying new things. And they're trying new things in a safe environment. So all of these activities have been tested, and there are trained staff functioning and operating each of those. And so they gain confidence in themselves and their abilities to conquer those things that maybe they're a little bit afraid of. And they realize that they can advocate for themselves and their needs. So kids who developmentally maybe don't know how to ask for what they need, And as a mom, I'm really typically pretty great at anticipating my kids' needs. So they are not as great at knowing their own needs because I've already met them. Whereas at Pine Cove, your staff does an excellent job anticipating needs, but you can't do every single one like a mom can with one or two or three or four kiddos. And so kids learn at camp how to advocate for themselves, how to ask for what they need from a safe, trained adult. And in turn, that improves their emotional awareness, and it improves their understanding that I can conquer hard things. I can do hard things, and this problem that seems so big is not as big as I initially thought.
Right.
And it's such a beautiful thing. I think the other piece that I love about camp developmentally is a lot of kids right now are struggling with how to make a friend, how to be a friend. What does it mean to have a conversation with a peer that isn't all about me? How do I ask questions about you? Some kids don't even understand that there's two people in a conversation.
Right.
And so being at camp, they learn how to be a friend to a new person. One of my kiddos had a camper in his cabin last summer from another country. And it was the most beautiful thing. When he got home, cool. He told me all the questions he asked of this little friend. They tried snacks from the other location. He got to ask cultural questions. And that was an experience that my child just hasn't had because he got to get outside of his circle. He got to get outside of his real world and experience other people. And there's such a beautiful thing about the silly traditions at camp, cabin chants, different challenges that they have to keep their cabins clean, and they work as a team. And it's a natural way for kids to develop those teamwork skills. There's theme nights. They're working together for a challenge, and it really helps kids at a point in their development where everything is about them. Yeah. Your elementary kiddos
We're living that life right now as parents.
Both of us are, with kids that age. And the idea Pine Cove really pushes, we are others focused. Yeah. And what a beautiful message for our elementary school kids to hear that, yes, I am important. I want my kids to know they're important, and I want them to know it's not only about them, that others matter. And that's a beautiful thing that Pine Cove really sets them up well for.
That's cool. I think that's a great definition from Sissy Goff of anxiety, of really making your problem bigger than it actually is.
Yes.
But then almost at the same time thinking of yourself as not able. And so that's cool. Yeah, I would say the same thing from a camp perspective. Like independence and confidence are the two words that come to my mind when I think about their development on a personal level. And so, yeah, I think you're speaking right into those challenges that you see as a therapist and how you've seen camp kind of help progress in those areas.
And another area I think that you get to see at camp is our elementary kids are figuring out, who am I? Who am I as a part of this world? What do I enjoy? What are my interests? Who are my people?
Yeah, what a big question.
Big question for any age. And so at camp, our kids get to figure out, who does God say that I am? Our world gives them so many messages about who they are and what they should be like. And at camp, all of that's just stripped away. And we get back down to the basics of, you are who the Lord says you are.
Right.
And then our children get to take that home with them back into their everyday lives throughout the year. And they get to have that lens to filter through those messages. So key to their identity formation at this age.
Well, and it's such a fun environment. I want to get into that a little bit more because it's a perfect environment for them to be a kid.
Yes.
And I want to talk about how the camp environment is different and how it affects kids differently, to take them out of their day-to-day routines, the thing that they're used to, which, for better or worse, kids today, I think, are really burdened. And in a way that, as we see, you mentioned, that stuff is stripped away at camp. We see them really live freely. And it's a really sweet thing. And so can you talk a little bit about the camp effect when you pluck kids up out of their normal environment, put them down in a safe camp environment that is encouraging and provides them an opportunity to live freely? What happens to them and to the life within them and their souls? And what interactions do you see at work there?
Gosh, this is one of my favorite things to talk about. Is, as a registered play therapist, I get to teach kids how to play again. I think a lot of our kids are so burdened, like you said, you used that word burdened. They're so burdened with big things in this world. Our kids have experienced really hard things, and a lot of kids don't know how to be a kid anymore. And they get to go to camp, and it is seriously fun.
Yeah.
And they get to enjoy silly things that they would not in the real world. My middle schooler would not wear these costumes. He would not coordinate
Totally.
chants and do silly
Yeah,
skits
no
and
way.
things. But
At
they
camp,
get to
it's normal.
at camp, it's
Yeah.
normal. And these cool college students, right, are doing it.
Yeah, right.
Therefore, it's cool. And so kids, when you pluck them out of this really serious environment, you put them in this playful, fun environment, things slow down. Our world is so fast. I don't even need to talk about the statistics about screens and overstimulation because that is just so very real. But in the camp world, things slow down and they get to be kids. They get to play. They get to play outside all the time. Our kids don't get as much time in the real world to be outside as we would want. And while there is structure at camp, there's activities, there's a schedule to keep, it is not jam-packed in the way that so many of us as families live. I know you have multiple kids. We're going here and there, and we're juggling school, we're juggling extracurriculars, we're juggling church, all great, great things, but they compete. Where when we're at camp, it is just boiled down to the important things.
Yep.
And they are taken away from the immediate answers, notifications. They're taken away from, I need this right now.
Right.
Not a whole lot at camp is urgent.
Yep.
There's playfulness and there's patience that kids get to learn.
Yeah, it's an opportunity for them to live in the present a little bit more and just get to experience good things for them as kids because as we talked about, they're burdened. And I think another kind of phrase, they just feel a lot of weight, a lot of pressure from the world.
Yeah.
And you mentioned they've experienced hard things, but I think even a less of an experience thing, more of just the culture we live in. You talked about screen time. And at Pine Cove, we are screen free, campers and staff. And I think that in and of itself, you mentioned the likes and the notifications, like that even just kind of breathes a sigh of relief. And even our college staff feel that and experience that. And so it's not just that we're plucking them out of their day-to-day normal, but it really is the environment that we've worked really hard to cultivate and create at Pine Cove, where you've mentioned a couple of these kind of phrases, but our core values, we say that we're Christ-centered, others-focused, and seriously fun. And so we're pulling them out of the hectic, instantaneous gratification kind of society that we live in, and then we're putting them in an environment that is Christ-centered, others-focused, and seriously fun, where people are caring for them and investing in them. And so we're seeing sweet returns because of that. So.
And you mentioned the college students, all the staff being screen-free. I don't want to take that for granted. There are so few environments today where that is true. And I know I, as a parent, I gripe about screen time and how people are, so focused on it, but we need screens in our normal life, and we're working or we're communicating with them, family or whoever we're needing to communicate with. And so even me as a parent who want to be as screen-free as possible, I'm just not. Yep. And so my kids see technology and they get to go to camp, and the adults around them are 100% focused just on them in a way that they're just not used to. And it is a beautiful thing for kids to get to be delighted in. And Pine Cove, I think, does such a great job of surrounding the campers with a team. So your counselors, they don't have to prepare their food. I'm distracted as a parent, as I know you know well.
Constantly
I'm
making
cooking,
snacks, cooking meals.
and then I'm cleaning up, and then I'll be there in a minute. Whereas at camp, there's a team surrounding the campers and counselors so that the counselors can just focus. There's a retail team. There's a photography team that's going to send pictures back to parents. And so the counselors just get to focus on the kids 100%. And there's, like I said, there's not very many environments in the world right now where kids just get to be delighted in. Right. And that is such a key need of a child, is to be delighted in. And your staff does a beautiful job of treasuring and seeing kids just as they are.
Yeah, I haven't thought about being a counselor through that lens of like, it kind of is, it takes all of the fun, sweet, awesome moments of being a parent and then removes so many of the responsibilities, because that plays out over the course of the other half of our staff who are serving behind the scenes to set up the ministry and sweet interactions and stuff that are happening in the cabin. Let's talk a little bit more about the counselors and the staff impact.
Mm-hmm.
Because as parents, I know I've heard from outside sources that sometimes kids don't listen to their parents. I know this could never be you, right?
Not me.
And me either as a camp director. Like they, totally respect me, listen all the time. But for parents out there that might have experienced this, what's the value of somebody else other than a mom or a dad or loved one speaking something into your kid or over your kid, leading your kid, teaching your kid, investing in their life? How does that third party dynamic of a safe adult at camp, how does that impact a kid's development, growth, and things like that?
And to be clear for anyone watching, my kids, in fact, do not listen to me all the time. Yours might. Mine
No, they
do
don't.
not.
Totally, no
Mine
way.
definitely don't. So I want parents to know that it is not just normal for their kids to need another adult voice. It is developmentally necessary. It's not just this fun thing that Pine Cove does. It is truly key to a child's development to learn how to trust other adults besides their own parents. There is an element of, I guess, community. God designed us for community. We're not supposed to do it alone. I cannot impart all the wisdom that my kids need in their whole entire life. I'm not that smart, and they won't listen.
Yeah.
And so getting them to an environment like camp where there are other adults who are pouring into children, our children get to see college students who are seriously cool, 100 times cooler than I am. My kids' counselors throughout the year will say, well, Snowbee said such and such, or Takes does it this way, and this is how he reads his Bible. And
which is so sweet and kind of annoying at the same time.
it's true. Every time that happens, I'm annoyed and like, oh, praise God for camp counselors.
Yeah,
It's both. It's simultaneous.
They listen to them. Yeah.
Yes. And the counselors get to bring this fresh perspective for our kids. They're playful. They're not bogged down by as many things necessarily as we are as parents. And they get to impact our kids. They get to bring the gospel from a playful perspective. They get to sing and dance and jump during club time. They get to have intentional, focused, one-on-one hang times with kids. And every child wants to be cared for in that way and wants that undivided attention. And I say want, they need it. That is a need for children to be poured into in that way. And so they get to see at camp, one of my favorite parts is that our children get to see counselors being Jesus with skin on. They get to see how counselors are interacting with their coworkers. They're getting to see how they interact with their bosses from a Christian perspective. And it's just a great lens that our kids get to see those adults working through. And I don't know about you, but as a parent, sometimes I forget to see the beautiful parts of my kids. I get really bogged down with the parenting, the discipline, and the discipling, that I forget those little nuances of how the Lord created my kids.
Yeah.
And I get to hear from college staff how awesome my kids are. And I need that as a parent. It is a good, fresh reminder for me. That they get to see my kids at their best selves, taken away, like we were talking about earlier, plucked out of their busy, chaotic environment and put into a fun, Christ-centered spot. Our counselors see children from the best light. And then they, in turn, get to tell me, and as a mom, that is worth its weight in gold, because I need that reminder.
Yeah. Well, in reality, too, because they're living their most free, best selves, what the counselors do see in them is true. And we know and we see too, but I think a lot of times we forget in the midst of chaotic, busy life. And so, so I guess to summarize, the message of what is being spoken is really important for a child developmentally, but camp brings in a beautiful aspect of it's not just what's being spoken, but who is speaking it.
Yes.
And you're saying, hey, it's a developmental need for kids to have a safe adult who is trusted to speak into their life outside of just mom or dad.
Yes.
I mean, it's just sweet, and it's cool to think about a kid coming to camp and learning, experiencing those things. What about from a faith-based standpoint? Do you see any difference there from a counselor leading, guiding a Bible study versus a parent reception from kids or anything?
Absolutely, yes. When I am trying to facilitate family devos at home, there is a kid upside down on the couch, and they're, playing with their Bible and spinning it. Yes. they're spinning it, and I'm like, are you even listening? They are. Spoiler alert. Our kids
Yeah.
are listening even when they don't look like they are. But there's a sweetness of getting to do that with their peers and getting to do that with a college student who is fun.
Yeah.
And as a parent, I don't know about you, but I'm sure a lot of the parents who are watching this, we just struggle to make the gospel fun. And we forget to communicate. It's just hard to share with our kids how much the Lord delights in them and loves them when we are parenting them in the everyday.
Yeah.
And they get to get that from their counselors. Their counselors bring that perspective on the gospel that as parents, sometimes we overlook.
Yeah, totally. One of the things I love in this area is at the end of the week, our counselors provide something with our kids, or for our kids, that we call CQs. They stand for Character Quality Certificates. I know your kids have gotten these at camp before too. And I think as a dad, watching my kids get these, but even just as an adult, watching a college age student speak identity into kids is just a really beautiful moment, because I know the impact that it's having. I see these kids light up, and it's like, wow, you're talking about me. And sometimes moms and dads are in the back of like, yeah, that's my kid. And sometimes it's like, oh, yeah, it's kind of this like, you're right, they are this. But sometimes as parents, we can struggle to see that because of what you're talking about, how bogged down we are in day-to-day life.
Can I
Yeah,
circle
keep
back real
going.
quick on the CQs? I am telling you, as a parent, we have those in our house for every year that our kids have gone to camp.
Sweet.
As a counselor, I have clients that bring their CQs to counseling, and we get to
Wow.
talk about it.
Oh,
They are
cool.
so proud, because how often in our world today does a child get singled out for something amazing
Yeah.
and told, you are this? And the beautiful thing is, a lot of times the kids don't even know what that word means.
Mm-hmm.
And the counselors do an excellent job
Yeah,
of
it's true.
explaining.
At this age.
At this
Yeah.
age, the counselors do an excellent job during that little ceremony, but then the parents get given a tool to continue pouring in to their kids and continuing the work that the camp staff has done. And so, yes, I know we're talking about the impact your counselors have in 1 week, but it goes so far beyond that into the school year that parents have these tools. And in my counseling room, I have this tool that I get to discuss what these character qualities are and how that relates to the Lord. That this isn't just something that you do, this is who you are because the Lord says you are.
Right.
And there are so many sweet pieces like that Pine Cove sends home with kids. There's my kids just got their thank you notes from their counselors a couple months after camp that the counselors write to them at the end of the week. And you would have thought they won the lottery. There was a winning lottery ticket in the envelope.
Pine Cove mail.
It's mail, and it has my name on it. Number one, kids hardly ever get mail.
Yeah.
And number two, from a treasured friend, someone who loved them deeply. And it just brings the joy further along into the school year. And handwritten notes just mean the world. I know my kids have them on their nightstands, and my kids will read them, and it's something for them to go back to when the world is hard.
Yeah.
They get to go back to that.
That's what I was just going to say. It's a reminder. They go back to that week at camp and all of the courage that they had and all the independence that they experienced, all the ways in which they grew and had these good things spoken into them and over them. And so that's really sweet. I've heard so many sweet stories about families who, I mean, they cherish those CQs and that time and the moments, and they've got them hanging up in their house. And that's really awesome.
And it is really neat, especially as a parent, putting that hat back on. I don't always see my kids in that lovely of a view. I'm just being fully transparent. I don't always see them as those words. And it is a gift to me that Pine Cove gives me as a mom, that I get to see my kids through that lens. And then too, when we're doing, we're in church and my kids are opening their Bibles and they have something highlighted and it has their camp counselor's name next to it.
Oh, cool.
It's the best. Camp is it's just worth everything. And it is not just the week of camp. It goes throughout the whole year. Those gifts just keep on giving. And we want them to have those tangible things to look back on, because kids are tangible at this age.
Well, it's no surprise to me that we can sit here and talk forever, I think, about our camp staff, because I think at Pine Cove, it really is what sets us apart. We talk about how our program is built on our staff. If all the blobs, if all the ropes courses and everything went away, camp would still be awesome because of them, because of their love for the Lord, their love for kids, and their investment into them. I want to take it kind of the next step now, something that as parents, you should be really concerned about. I want to talk about the safety and security of camp. which, works hand in hand with our camp staff.
Hmm.
But as parents, I think parents should be applauded for going, hey, I want to know as much as I can. I want to dig in more, tell me more, help me answer these questions for me. They're doing a great job by being here, finding this resource, digging into blog posts,
Hmm.
looking on the website. From your perspective, how is camp safe for kids? What are some of the, I guess, what are some of the most common concerns, issues that are arising with parents today? And from what you've seen and experienced both as a therapist and as a camp mom, how would you reassure them that, hey, camp is a great place for your kid and a safe place for your kid?
I sit with countless parents, looking at you moms, but I sit with countless parents in the spring, especially as they are gearing up. Okay, do I sign my kiddos up for camp? Is my kiddo able to do this?
Right.
I would say the number one concern that parents have is homesickness. My kiddo has never been away from me for this many nights. I don't know if they can do this. They're going to be sad. Yes, they will be sad. And what I would want parents to know is that is a good thing
It's
that their
okay.
kid,
Yeah.
yes, it is a good thing that your child is sad. It means that you have done the work and you have nurtured that relationship with your kids, that they would be sad to leave you.
Mm-hmm.
On the flip side of that, they need to be sad to leave you,
Right.
because that shows them they can be sad and have a good time.
Yeah.
Going back to what we were talking about at the beginning about emotional needs of kids, we need to know that it's okay to feel two things at the same time. Both things can be true. I can really miss my mom and dad, and oh my gosh, camp is the best place ever.
That's so good.
I
Yeah.
think those two absolutely can coexist. And so I just want parents to know missing home is a good thing. Pine Cove you train your staff so beautifully on how to handle homesickness, to validate their feelings. These feelings make sense, and we're going to do other things. And I want parents to be able to trust that camp staff, if it is significant enough, promise you guys will call a parent and loop them in. That is super rare. I know it is, but that Pine Cove will absolutely care enough about the kids and the parents. I think it's a key element to building a child's confidence, is that they can go away from home for that long and they can realize it's okay to miss home. I can get my needs met. I am confident. I'm independent. I can get help when I need to. And Pine Cove has created a really safe, loving environment to do those things. I think another fear that moms and dads maybe have is my child doesn't know how to do all the daily tasks that we do at home. They won't eat a well-rounded meal. They won't remember to wash between their toes. They're not going to dress right with the clothes I packed for them. Parents, I want them to know that they have prepared their kids well.
Yeah.
They have done those rhythms at home enough. Your child will be wearing clothes at camp.
Mm-hmm.
They may not match as beautifully or coordinate like you hoped, but they will be clothed.
Yeah.
They will be washed. They will be well fed. And you will likely be surprised how much your kid comes home a different, more mature, more confident, more capable little human. I hear it constantly in my therapy room. You won't believe what my kid came home from Pine Cove being able to do. They're cleaning their room. They're bussing the table. Yeah, Pine Cove helps with that because they make it playful. There's challenges of who can have the most clean cabin. And I promise parents, this is a good thing that your kid has to face those without you there.
Yeah. Well, as you're describing that, it took me back to the front of the conversation as well, where we talked about kids experiencing anxiety, how they make a problem bigger than it is,
Yes.
and then also underestimate their own power. And maybe we as parents can do the same thing as well for our kids.
Yes.
By going, hey, this is too big for you to handle. That there's no way you can do this. And we're really selling them short, and in a lot of ways holding them back in their development by not allowing them to have some of these experiences and stuff.
I think you hit the nail on the head. As parents, there are some things that we do unintentionally because we mean well. We want to care for our kids. We want to prepare them well and set them up for success. So I hope all the parents hearing this and listening don't take that to mean it's your fault, because it's not.
Right.
It just means that you are doing a really good job
you
as
just
a
care
parent.
for your kids. Good job.
You are doing a great job. You have equipped them well. Now tag in and let Pine Cove help come alongside you and be part of your village and help this kiddo develop, because Pine Cove loves kids well.
Yeah. And it's a muscle that we want kids to grow and develop. It's a muscle that they need at some point,
Yes.
unless you want to have them tagging along for the rest of their
Yes.
life, which none of us
Mhm.
want as good,
do
loving
not.
parents.
Nope.
We want them to grow and develop and experience freedoms
Mhm.
that are going to benefit them for the rest of their lives.
Yes.
And from a developmental standpoint, this is an appropriate age to do
Yes.
that.
Yes, this is a good spot to start pulling back on the reins a little bit and letting go, right? When we see kids on, as a mom, when I saw that my child was wearing pajamas 2 days in a row, that was like, oh, what are we doing? Look how happy he is. That is the best smile that I have seen in a really long time as a kid
Yeah.
at camp. Whatever he's doing, that's what
Pajamas or not.
they're fine.
He's smiling, he's having fun, he's safe.
Yes. And that it really is a heart check for me as a parent. And I talk about that a lot with my parents in the therapy room of how are we as parents hindering our kids a little bit. My expectations sometimes are so high that I forget to let my kid be a kid. And so just an encouragement that when you see those types of things, my kid is having a blast. This is good. This is developmentally normal for me to let them make their own choices, for them to spend their camper bank money
Right.
however they want to spend it.
Letting
This
go
is
a
a
little
good
bit.
thing. And not checking the receipts.
So this is the part of interview that I'm going to have to clip and listen and remind myself over and over of like,
Yes.
yeah, it's okay to release. And it's good to release. I don't need to control everything, because I certainly can have a tendency to want to do that out of love and care for my kids.
Yes.
But in reality, I'm holding back in a certain way. So
It's true. Me
uh,
too.
I do want to mention to parents, Pine Cove has produced a blog post that we have that kind of meets some minimum standards and requirements. And so if you're curious, if you're asking yourself, hey, is my kid ready to come to camp? There are some really basic things that they need to be able to do on a very practical day-to-day level. And so if that's one of your biggest questions, I'm sure the blog post will be easy to find or accessible if you Google Pine Cove Ready for Camp blog post, maybe even linked here with a video, but that'll be a really helpful kind of guide for you to start. And then in my experience as a camp director, when I talk to parents and I'm going, hey, I'm just trying to decide, I really try to judge, are they asking if their kid's ready for camp, or are they asking if they, as a parent, are ready for camp?
Yes.
And so one of the things I'll throw back to them is I'll just ask, hey, how do you feel about your kid coming to camp? And that gives me a little bit of insight there. And then same thing for their kid. If they're really telling me about a kid's problems, or they're concerned about a kid doing a camp, I'll just ask them, hey, how does your kid feel? Like, are they excited to come to camp? And if they're going, hey, they're only nervous, like, all right, well, here's some things you can do. And there's a blog post, again, a different one about some ways that you can set yourself up to come to camp. There's some really practical things that parents can do to help them get ready as well. So
Yes. And you talked earlier about the muscle that kids need to use. This is a great point to support that if we want our kids to be able to do hard things and to be away from home, that's the muscle we need to practice, and we need to work at it. It's not just magically going to happen.
Right.
There's some exercise to be done there. And that blog post is going to give some really good tools on things you can do ahead of time to both prepare your child and to prepare your heart as a parent. I wanted to circle back. You mentioned when you talk to parents on the phone, in case any parents listening don't know this, they can call and talk to someone
100%.
from Pine Cove. As a parent who had already sent several kids to camp, we had a foster kiddo who was in our home, and I desperately wanted this child to experience the beauty of camp. And I had some concerns about this child's needs, and could Pine Cove meet those needs? And my child was not convinced that they wanted to go to camp. And so it was a joint conversation that we got to have with several people from camp, and your staff did a beautiful job of walking us through those needs. And yes, it was able to be met. And the most beautiful aspect, I think, from a camp perspective, y'all know you're safe. You know you're safe. You personally know all of the pieces that have gone into training, into the standards that you guys have at camp. But as a parent, there's a difference between safety and felt safety. Those are two different concepts. Me here, I know Pine Cove is amazing. I trust Pine Cove with all of my kids, and I will every summer until they are too old. But a parent who doesn't feel safe, there are elements that Pine Cove can help with to help you get to that safety, that perception. So I just want parents to feel free to have those conversations.
Yeah, and we were talking beforehand. I was like, this is the topic that I want to record just videos on this. Like, I love the safety aspect of Pine Cove.
Yes.
And I think it's what we do, maybe second to hiring staff, it's what we do best. And we take it really seriously. And so we've got a couple of videos online. We've got one about staff, who we hire, how we train them, what we expect out of them after we hire, and we do background checks and all that kind of stuff. We also have a separate video just on the safety of camp and how we monitor, how we protect. It's a big deal, and we don't take it lightly. So I'm glad that you have picked up on that, because it's a big investment that we've made.
Yes. And as a mom of several kids, that is a balm to my heart. But as a social worker, I've just seen the impacts of environments that are not safe. And it really reassures me to know how deep Pine Cove has gone into protecting children's safety. And the neat thing also is that Pine Cove doesn't sacrifice the fun element of camp for safety. Both are there, and it's a beautiful blend. At the same
time. I want to ask one more kind of big open-ended question.
Okay.
And you can take it wherever your brain goes.
I'm ready.
But wrapping up, kind of envisioning yourself sitting and talking with, primarily it's usually moms, but
That's
a
fair.
mom who is on the fence. Hey, are we ready for camp as a family? Is my kid ready for camp? Am I ready for camp? What kind of lasting advice would you give them? And I think you can answer it as a mom. You can answer it as a therapist. Whatever you think, what's your biggest encouragement for a mom about what they can experience, what their kid can experience, how it can impact their child and their family?
You're right.
I told you, big loaded. Sorry.
This is a big loaded question. I would want to sit across the table from that mom. We're probably having coffee at a cute, cozy little shop, and we are talking about how much we love our kids. And that is the driving factor behind their decision is I love my kiddo so much. Is this right for them? And I would just want to encourage them. It is. Yeah. It is. Pine Cove is so well worth it. It makes me emotional to think about how much the Lord has used Pine Cove to grow my own children socially, emotionally, and spiritually. My kids are changed because of their experience at Pine Cove. And I get to see it in my counseling room every summer at the beginning of the school year. Kids are coming back from Pine Cove, and they are more mature little humans. They are talking for sessions and sessions about how much fun they had at Pine Cove. Their identity shifts, and they see themselves as the Lord sees them. And you can't put a price tag on that. It is beautiful. And I think I would encourage that mom that Pine Cove doesn't just help for 1 week. The things that Pine Cove does so intentionally, those go throughout the whole year. Your family as a whole, not just your child, but your family, your parenting, sibling relationships, those will be better because of what the Lord does at Pine Cove.
Wow. That's awesome. That's a great answer.
Okay, great. I mean it. I mean every word. It is such a delight that we get to combine Jesus's love into the development of children. I'm so thankful that Pine Cove cares so much about kids that they would help parents feel confident in the benefits of camp. It's just so good. Well,
Chantel, thank you so much for sitting down with me today. Thanks for partnering with Pine Cove, both as a mom, as a therapist today, helping partner with other parents to answer questions and maybe calm some fears, some anxieties. We're really grateful for you and for your time. And
thank you.
Parents, thank you for joining in, watching this video with us. We hope that today we have answered some of your questions, but would encourage you to continue to dig in, read some other blog posts, watch some other videos. And if you've got questions about your particular situation, as Chantel mentioned, we're here and we're available. We'd love to answer those for you. And so feel free to call in. You can connect with somebody in our registration team. And if you want to talk to somebody on a camp team, we'll do our best to make those people available. We're so grateful. Thank you guys for stopping in. Chantel, thanks a ton for being here.
It was my privilege.
It really does mean a ton that you would partner with us and help families that we want to love on and care for.
Yes. Thanks, Andrew.